Hello again, my friends. I'm Minok, and today I want to talk about those times I don't like my art. But first things first. As I try to do every time I start a new piece, I start this one with cleaning my workspace. Then I'm getting my swatch sheet for the alcohol markers that I'm planning on using for this one. And the markers as well. I like to have everything right by my side as I work. Picking the first few colors is always exciting. I've done the sketch of this piece off camera on a whim one night. For a change, I didn't use any reference really, just random bits and pieces like the lion in the middle of the drawing and the basic shape of a fireplace and so on. It's a drawing of the Gryffindor common room from Harry Potter. And I did add some other artists' interpretations of the common room, but I didn't directly reference any of them in my drawing. Here I started with coloring the yellows of the piece because it was supposed to help me with identifying the areas that had a glow to them from the various light sources. But right away I was struggling with it. I think I quickly realized that working without a reference was a bold move for me. So I decided to focus on what I assumed would be the center of the drawing, the fireplace. I did a lot of layering with so many shades of yellow and orange. But for some reason I couldn't get to the level of illumination and glow that I wanted from this area of the drawing. So let's talk about my expectations before even starting this piece. I had this grand vision of this drawing. It should become this atmospheric piece, full of detail and sparkle. I wanted to create it with alcohol markers because that's the medium I enjoy using the most. And it was supposed to become this masterpiece, and I would love working on it every second. Well, no, that's not what happened here, and I realized it very quickly into the drawing. That's why I want to talk about those times when your art doesn't meet your expectations. When you're frustrated during the whole process because nothing seems to turn out the way you imagine. Those are the times you realize you're just not skilled enough yet to achieve what you set out to do. Plainly said, those times suck. It's most frustrating and painful to push through it. But is it worth it? Yes, in my opinion it is. I've come ridiculously close to abandon this piece multiple times during the process, and just start something that's more in my comfort zone instead. But we artists grow on the challenging pieces the most. When we have to go out and research other artists' approaches to do something we struggle with, that's the times when we actually remember the stuff we learned by studying. So even if we struggle and have to fight to get to the finish line, it's 100% worth it. I didn't really want to share this piece with the world, especially during the ugly phase. I regretted even filming it all together for a while. But after thinking about it for a while, I decided it was important to me to show the failures as well as the successes. They are part of the journey, and that's what I'm here to share. It's an undeniable truth that for every masterpiece you have to create countless pieces that are just not that great first. We as artists are always hard on ourselves. That's how we get better, identifying where our weaknesses lie and work on those. Being an artist in itself is a journey and not a destination. We have to create a lot to get better, and with creating a lot, you're bound to create pieces that don't meet your expectations. Did I have to share one of those pieces though? No, obviously I didn't, and I understand why a lot of artists opt not to do so. We want to share the stuff that we're proud of, the stuff that makes us shine, but I still think there's value in showing this piece and my struggles with it. I just have to continue to tell myself, every piece I create is a stepping stone on my journey to becoming a better and more confident artist. Honestly, I had no idea what I was doing half the time. I just knew I wanted to have a lot of red and yellow in the drawing because red and gold are the Gryffindor colors, and for that reason alone they had to be prominent in the drawing somehow. I also chose a lot of reddish brown tones and warm grays to give the piece a warm look. But that's pretty much the whole plan I had. I'm not really used to doing interior scenes at all. I don't think I've ever drawn something like this before. I did an interior scene in my ugly sketchbook once with just a black gel pen and no coloring at all, and that one turned out pretty great. So I guess I just assumed doing something like this would come naturally to me. But coloring is something that I for sure need to work on, especially without having a reference to rely on. I think I just have to draw a lot of interior scenes of references first before I can tackle one without a reference again. You can clearly see that I don't really know what I'm doing by the little bibs and bobs that I decide to color in first. I just chose completely randomly, scared of messing it up and not knowing what I'm doing and what I even want to do. Here I was finally brave enough to tackle the bigger background areas. I chose to use my warm grays for those areas, but now I'm not sure that was the right choice. I just wanted to give the whole piece a warm atmosphere, but I think I just wasn't bold enough and the background areas could have used more contrast. The flying candles were something I was so proud of when I had the initial idea. They were supposed to give the piece the magical touch and also add to the glow and sparkle. I don't think I managed to achieve that, unfortunately. There's so many things going on, I'm not even sure if they stand out at all in the end. After adding a bit more contrast and darker colors to the background, I started to see the piece come together, at least a bit. But the farther I got, the more lost I became in knowing how to tie it all together and make it stand out. I just started layering my copics and trying to get more contrast without being bold enough to use actual darker colors. I was just so scared of completely messing everything up that I didn't want to risk it. I really wished I could tell you that I enjoyed working on this piece even a little bit, but being so completely lost made me incredibly self-conscious, and eventually I doubted every single decision I made. I just wanted to work on something else instead, but I promised myself that I would not touch or start another artwork before finishing this one. What made this even harder was that I only could work on it during the daylight hours, so I was able to film it. And autumn in Switzerland is usually very gloomy, and daylight comes out late and disappears very early. That and looking after my toddler during the day gave me around half an hour a day to work on it. So it wasn't just a frustrating process, but a slow one as well. But honestly, that makes me just all the more proud that I managed to push through it. And after all, I gotta say, it's nice to have a piece that's all mine and not based on some photograph or reference whatsoever. I wouldn't tackle another one like this in quite a while though. It's time to get back into my comfort zone for a bit and practice some more before trying my hand at a challenging piece like this again. After thinking about it for a while, I'm not even sure using alcohol markers was the right decision. It might have worked better in gouache instead of the markers, but I don't think it would have saved the piece. I'm pretty sure my main struggles were my lack of experience with this kind of subject and the lack of a reference, and not the medium. After deciding there's nothing more at my current skill level I can do to improve this with copics, I moved on to colored pencils. I had just a little bit of hope that I could maybe save this with the pencils, giving the piece some clear lines and more contrast. Unfortunately, I had the worst light the first half of the colored pencil process, so I didn't film it at all. So the windows and the lower part of the drawing I've done off camera. I'm not sure if it was the right decision to work that heavily with the pencils in the end. Like, I'm not sure about anything on this piece, it seems like. But on this Canson watercolor paper, there is so much structure that it's hard to blend the pencils properly, especially in the way that I use them here. But I managed to push through it and not give up. Again. There's definitely a lot about this piece that I still really don't like, but I did give it my all, and that's a good thing in the end. let's try to find some things that I like about the piece. I actually kinda like the illusion of a structure I achieved with the copics on the wall in the middle and the fireplace. I wished I had gone a bit darker and created more of a shine with the fireplace itself though. That would have helped the candles and the sparkly bits to stand out a bit more as well, and was probably what I was envisioning in the first place without even knowing. I also think I might have too many light sources with the candles, the fireplace and the lanterns. It looks a bit cluttered. But I like the area where the armchairs are with the little table and the mug and the book. I also like that I tried to tie in the blue of the window and some elements. But I think I could have done a bit more with some cool tones in the shadows, and the whole piece would probably look better if there was another window on the right side of the fireplace as well. It's just a bit off balance how it is right now. Alrighty, and then I'm finally done with the drawing. Peeling off the tape and signing it are for sure my favorite part about this piece. I hope you enjoyed watching me struggle. Let me know if you sometimes have similar feelings about your art and how you deal with it. It would mean the world to me if you would like and subscribe if you enjoyed. See you soon, over and out.